You would be so surprised at what one person changing their behavior and changing their state of being can do for those around them, and then what that does for those around them, and it just goes on and on and on and on. This is actually my mission, is to create a ripple of turning human beings into well-beings. And this is where it starts. It starts with you. Welcome to Unlock Your Wellbeing, the podcast that teaches you the simple keys to health and happiness so that you can grow as a human being into a well-being. And now here's your host, author, certified wellness coach, mother and wife, Alisha Leytem. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. So April is actually Stress Awareness Month. Did you know that? It's true. It's Stress Awareness Month. So in order to honor the month, this episode is dedicated to teaching you 6 key tips to helping you manage your stress as a leader trying to balance it all. And you can also apply these as preventing stress. Ideally, you would like to prevent the stress from happening in the first place with these tips I'm going to be giving you today. But life happens, things happen, and so these are really powerful to helping you respond and reduce the amount of stress that you are currently experiencing. So chances are, since you're listening to this episode, you are interested in reducing your stress. You might be interested in preventing another very stressful time from occurring. You may be just trying to balance it all in your life. You know, maybe you have children, you obviously have your career, you have a social life, ideally. You want to be able to take care of yourself and your health and your well-being, and sometimes it feels like you just can't balance it all without the stress levels going through the roof. Luckily, there are plenty of things that we can do to tap into what's called your parasympathetic nervous system. So what does your parasympathetic nervous system mean? So basically, your nervous system is broken down into two parts. It's the parasympathetic nervous system, which is where you're in relaxing, you're in rest and digest, like you feel calm and at ease. And then there is the sympathetic nervous system, which is in fight or flight, which is when you're like super high reaction, very like your heart is beating, very high stress response that you can feel physically in your body. Now, it's okay for us to feel and experience being in the sympathetic nervous system. In fact, it's actually just part of life, and it's healthy for us in some ways. What's unhealthy is when we are spending the majority of our time, of our days, in the sympathetic nervous system. And over time, if we're living primarily from that place, then that is what we describe as chronic, ongoing high levels of stress, right? And so what we need to do is learn how to activate and tap into your parasympathetic nervous system, how to know how to rest and digest, how to know how to tap into calming the nervous system and calming the body, and managing your stress levels, managing everything that you are doing in your response on a day-to-day basis, because this is about your quality of life. It's about your quality of life. And also, if you are a leader and you want to lead better, not only in yourself and what you're doing, but be a trailblazer for those who work with you, maybe a team member, employees, co-workers, you always lead by example. They're going to follow your lead. So it's one thing to say, hey, you need to relax, or hey, please don't check emails on the weekends, and you personally aren't doing those things. Then that's creating the culture, that's creating the environment, that's creating the standard that you are showing in your own actions. And so this is a very personal responsibility for us to do, but also know that as we do this, we're creating a ripple of showing others how to do it for themselves. And you would be so surprised at what one person changing their behavior and changing their state of being can do for those around them, and then what that does for those around them, and it just goes on and on and on and on. This is actually my mission, is to create a ripple of turning human beings into well-beings. And this is where it starts. It starts with you. So I'm super passionate about this. Clearly, if you're listening to this podcast, that's what's happening. So let's dive into these 6 stress management tips for leaders trying to balance it all. Now, before we dive into these 6 tips, I want to let you guys know, remind you rather, that my first book is almost out. It's coming out at the end of April 29th, 2022. You guys, it is so close. It's so close. It's so close. I'm so excited. My book is called The 6 Gold Keys to Wellbeing, a guide to unlocking a happy and healthy life. So this is going to be available for you to purchase on Amazon very soon. And if you would like to be the very first to be notified of when you can purchase it, you can head to my website, AlishaLeytem.com, and sign up for the book launch list, which is totally free. We'll just let you know when it's available for you. But what I would really, really, really love, you guys, is something that would make me so happy is if you could rate this podcast and give me a written review. I would appreciate that so much. It would make me so happy, and it just give me the boost to really help launch this book out into the world. And I feel like then I can hear from you guys of if this is serving you, if this is helping you, if you're getting a lot out of it. So I would love for you guys to leave me a review if you're open to that on iTunes. I know several of you have given us 5 stars. That's great. And I would love to see a written review from you as well, if you are so open and kind to doing that and making me so very happy. So, like we were saying, this is Stress Awareness Month. And so the first thing that I want to share with you and remind you is that this is actually tip number 1. You can change your stress through thought alone. You can change your response to the stress that you're experiencing by changing your mind around the stress that you are experiencing. Because our stress comes from the way we think about something, the way we are responding to an event. Now, if there's something occurring that is super stressful for you, you have 2 options. 1, you can continue doing the thing that you're doing. You can change, or you can change it. You can ask yourself, can I change this thing? Can I actually do something differently about this? And if you can't do something differently about this, then how can you choose to think differently about this? Unfortunately, when we are someone who is living a high stress life or a very high stress job, then we are somewhat addicted to being in that state of high stress. And it's such an addicting feeling that when we are not in that state of high stress, then we feel like Maybe we aren't working, or we're not doing enough. And then you start to get uncomfortable because, not because you're not stressed, but you're uncomfortable because that's not your primary state of being. And you are so drained from like all of your cortisol shooting out of your body that you are trying to access and tap into more of that. And so it will require you to release this addiction to stress by choosing to think differently about it, and by knowing that you can still grow, be productive, be an incredible leader, balance it all, and do great work without being and tapping into your sympathetic nervous system all day long. In fact, the best leaders are the most calm leaders. The ones who are focused on the moment, not on their phone during meetings, not like, saying one thing and doing another, but being there fully and completely and honestly, right? So know when to say no and choose to think differently about the stress. If I can't change this thing, how can I think differently about this thing? How can I choose to think differently about it? Because the thoughts you're thinking around it are typically making it worse. So how can you change your mind? What is a new thought you can think? And notice how your body responds differently to thoughts that you think differently. So number 1, you can change your stress through thought alone. Number two is to prioritize your sleep. The rest of the tips that I'm going to give you after sleep can't have as big of an impact unless you are getting enough sleep. Everything is better when you get enough sleep. Absolutely everything. When you get enough sleep, you do not crave unhealthy foods. You don't crave more caffeine, more sugar, more carbs, more processed foods. You are satiated, essentially. When you sleep, your brain actually processes the day's events beforehand. And so when you get enough sleep, then that means the following day you are much more clear-minded and rested. And when you're calm, you're rested, and you're clear-minded, that's when you're a clear channel to do your best work, to be able to do one thing at a time, to flow through your day. And so this requires you to prioritize your sleep. And if that means you have to say no to other things in order to say yes to prioritizing your sleep, then that's what you gotta do, my friend. Prioritize your sleep. Go to bed early. Have a routine to help you sleep. Unwind from the day. Get into bed. Sleep, 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 sleep. It's so important. Do this for 30 days of your number 1 goal is to prioritize deep, delicious, healing, restorative sleep, and watch what happens to everything else in your life. Very powerful. Number 2. Or no, that was number 2. This is number 3. Okay. My third tip to manage your stress is to meditate. Now, like I mentioned with the first tip of changing your stress through thought alone, a lot of our stress tends to come through our thoughts, right? And so when we're meditating, we're giving our mind a break. We're giving the chatter an opportunity to clear, to dissipate, to calm, to be heard so that it can be released. The power of a 10-minute meditation is so big and so impactful that the more regularly that you do this and just sit there and center yourself and calm yourself through meditation, can change the trajectory of your entire day. If you do it in the morning, the rest of your night, if you do it in the afternoon, it's very powerful. So don't underestimate a 10-minute meditation to respond to high stress, which clearly this activates your parasympathetic nervous system, meditating. And even when things are going well, doing it regularly is going to help you be able to better respond to high stressful situations so that you don't have to get to that place of very high stress that becomes chronic. So consider integrating regular meditation into your day, into your work day. I cannot stress enough how important it is to any tips that I give you guys on this podcast to improve your overall well-being. These aren't necessarily separate from your work day. Like, our work and our life are so integrated now that this isn't something that's separate. Anything you do to take care of you is taking care of your work. And so it's just as important to make this a part of your work day, right? So I encourage you to do this, to meditate right as you get down, sitting at your desk before you start your day, or even at the end of the day at your desk before you leave, during your lunch break, or you just need a little break in between work, in between meetings. Make this a part of it and know that it is you taking care of yourself is helping you to lead better. And think about the example you're setting when you do that. Okay, tip number 4 is to move your body, exercise, or take a walk. Okay? Moving your body is one of the fastest ways to shake out stress and to calm and center yourself by moving the energy through. I recommend taking a walk outside to really amplify your stress relief, because nature does a really incredible job at holding and releasing the stress for you. There's actually research that even just looking out at nature reduces stress from your body. So imagine looking at it while you're moving your body. What's also very cool about regular exercise is the more you exercise, you're actually increasing your capacity to take on and handle more stress, but it doesn't take you out. So you want to think about, like, what is your capacity for stress? And then all of these things that we're teaching you on this episode is helping you to increase your capacity to be able to hold more, aka balance it all without it taking you out. You learning how to center yourself and how to calm yourself is like your biggest secret weapon. So regularly exercising, and specifically when you're in high stress, take a walk. And more prevention is to exercise. Okay, so this kind of moves into my 5th tip for you. I spoke a moment about this, which is connecting with nature. And this is actually a topic that has been coming up quite a bit recently with my work with professionals, which is there's this notion that nature isn't professional. And I just think that's crazy because nature is the most professional thing, because it's showing you how to be a real leader. It's taking your stress from you. It's inspiring you. It's grounding you. We spend like 95% of our time on inside and in front of a screen. And this is absolutely draining your energy and increasing your stress response. And so the best way to balance that out and to center yourself is to reconnect with nature. is to literally be more grounded. And the best and only way to do that, to be more grounded, is to go outside and reconnect with the earth. I don't know what a bigger and better teacher for us is than nature itself. So just being in the presence of nature, really reconnecting with nature, helps to unlock creative possibilities, helps to unlock solutions, helps to center, calm, and align yourself. I mean, the list is endless. So like I just mentioned, walking in nature is a very transformational tool for you to respond and shift your stress quickly and come back quickly and thrive better. We don't want to survive anymore. This is, you are moving out of survival and into thriving. And when you thrive, everything else is easier. Everything else is better. You're operating from a higher level. So yes, your wellness coach is telling you that it is your duty to go outside. Take a call outside, have a meeting outside, have a walking meeting outside, go outside first thing in the morning, get some sun on your skin. The hardest part is just walking out the door. And when you're out there, take it in, baby, and notice how just being out there drains that stress from your body. You can feel your parasympathetic nervous system activating just being in the presence of nature and going outside. This can be as simple as putting your feet in the grass, touching a tree, just standing out in your yard and taking a deep breath in. Which brings me to my 6th tip for you, which is breath work. Okay? Learning how to breathe and doing work around breathing deeply and completely and fully can really change the energy in your system very quickly. Most people are actually chronic shallow breathers, meaning they only breathe and use a very small percentage of their lung capacity. And the reason that this is not good is because breath is considered life force energy. This is actually an Ayurvedic method in teaching that the breath is known as prana. And prana means life force energy. And so if we want to increase our life force energy in our system, then we simply activate it by breathing more deeply and more completely. So think about how good it feels to just take a deep, sighing, cleansing breath. That is releasing the stress from your body. You're moving it through, you're shaking it out, you're letting it go. So doing that outside is pretty powerful because you're breathing in the elements from the trees that are in the air, which does a lot of incredible things for you, which I may or may not talk about in the book. So breathing and using breath work as a tool is powerful, and it can take 2 seconds, right? It can be something that you have a response, like stress is happening, and you breathe. You take a moment to breathe and you center yourself. So notice one of your first physical responses when you're feeling stressed is your palms might get sweaty, your heart starts beating fast, your head maybe starts hurting, and that is your cue to take a couple of deep breaths and allow that to shift and move through you. And doing this as a prevention is actually just as powerful as well. So those are my 6 tips to helping you manage your stress for people trying to do it all. Let's review, okay? Number 1, you can do it through thought alone. Change your thoughts, change your life. Choose to think differently about the stress. How can you think differently? And what thoughts are you thinking that are not serving you about the stress? Or what can you actually change and do differently about it, period? Number 2, prioritize your sleep. Number 3, meditate. Number 4, take a walk, move your body, exercise regularly to increase your capacity to hold and work through more stress. Number 5, ground outside, reconnect with nature. And finally, number 6, breathe deeply and use breath work as a powerful tool to release and increase your life force energy. So good. I love these things. Clearly, they're just the best, and I hope that you are really hearing more about the power of managing your stress is not only helping you, but it's creating a ripple of changing the culture of that around you, whether that's work or even your home, your family. It starts with you. You have the power to create a ripple of change around you. And you can do it with these very simple, free things within you. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that you got a lot out of this episode. Again, if you are enjoying the podcast, please let me know and make me so happy, and go leave me a review. Give me some love over on iTunes, and the book is coming out so very soon. Get ready. It is going to be out on April 29th for you to purchase on Amazon, and we can all dive into our journey to well-being together even more, even deeper. And I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. So thank you guys for being here. I will see you next week. And I will be busy continuing to work on some really cool bonus material that you're going to get when you buy the book. Okay, I'll tell you. You are going to get a access to all of the resources that I share in the book. So it's like a resource guide, including some audios of guided meditations that are in the book script. So I wrote them out in the book for you, and then when you buy it, you can sign up and you'll get the actual audio to it. And that's just one little part of it. It's gonna be awesome. Are you excited? I am. All right, I'll see you next time. Thanks everyone. Namaste.